Thank you. First of all, Corey, the statement that Robin had made and quoted me actually was a statement that Mr. Crowder had stated. And it brought much frustration to myself and the Mayor's Youth Task Force because of the feelings that he had against activities that we were trying to create for youth in our community. And most people know me, and I've been in this community and
AM 960 KLTF. It is time for the Upfront program, and our final of the Upfront debates this election season is going to feature the Little Falls Mayor seat, and we have all three candidates in studio today, and we're going to begin with our opening statement. This is an election for the entire citywide. The Little Falls election comes up on Tuesday. In your opening statements, candidates, the order we decided off-air, tell us about yourself, how people might know you. What is your involvement in the community, and do you have any volunteer work at this time? Perhaps about your family too, and why you have chosen to run for mayor. The first to offer opening statements, Greg Zilka. Greg?
Hi, thanks, Corey. Greg Zilka once again. I was born and raised in Little Falls, on the west side of Little Falls. I graduated from Little Falls High School. My father spent almost his entire career working at Larson Boats. I have 7 siblings, and I went to Wilmer Junior College after high school, and then came back to Little Falls, and I have been working at Coburn's for 36 years, almost 37. I started as frozen food and dairy manager, and worked my way up to manager for approximately the last 20 years. Community involvement, I'm very involved in the community. I'm on numerous committees. If you haven't seen me on Coburn's, you've probably seen me throughout the community. I'm on United Way, Community Development, EDA. There's numerous committees that I won't bore you with all the details on. My platform is jobs. I think jobs will relieve the tax burden. I believe in health and safety in the community. We need to look at the sign ordinance. I don't think that's a major issue that we have to jump into right away, but I think all businesses have a right to do what they have to do to make a living.
That's the opening statement from Greg Zilka. The next to offer opening statements, Cathy VanRisseghem. Cathy, the same question, telling us about yourself, your background, volunteer work, your family, and why you have chosen to run again as mayor. You are the incumbent. Cathy VanRisseghem.
Morning, Corey. I've lived in Little Falls my entire life, and I've been married for 4 years to my husband George. We have 4 married children and 12 beautiful grandchildren. I went to Central Lakes College, and I am a small business owner. I used to own Cathy's Country Gardens, and I was Main Street Director in Little Falls for about 9 years. The Main Street Director was involved in revitalizing the community or the downtown when the Walmarts came through, so it was a national program, and I was involved in recruiting businesses and all of the events and activities and the historic preservation of the community. Some of the things I started actually through that program was the tricks or treating downtown, which we've actually got going on today, I believe. I worked with the Riverfest event and the evening Santa parade and Dam Festival. I was a tourism director for 22 years in recruiting activity within the community to bring people to the area. I have been mayor of 8 years. And through that process, my activities and stuff has given me the experience in business development and management, recruitment, financial management, public relations, marketing, and all those wonderful things. And I guess my platform is that I love Little Falls. I have been involved with the Friends of Pine Grove Zoo and the Historical Society and Linden Hill and on and on. I've been on over 98 to 100 committees working to preserve and make Little Falls better. And I've got a firm belief that Little Falls can be prosperous and thriving with everybody working together to make it such. I will continue to fight for the rights of the people in this community for garbage. That has been an issue, I know, and we worked hard at that to try to get it to the point that we didn't have the bags, we had the cans, or at least give the people the ability to make their marketplace. I'm working on business recruitment and development and trying to keep the businesses here that we have. Camp Ripley Veteran State Trail, we are on the brink of developing one of the largest tourism boosts in our history. Trails bring in $3.2 billion a year, and we have the potential of getting some of that money here. Drugs and crime has been a big issue with me, and coming against that, we do have an issue in the community, and I feel that we need to address it, and we need to do it quickly. We just recently started up the Neighborhood Watch program, and I want to see one in every neighborhood within the community. And of course, the splash pad and skate park, we're working strong to get that done without taxpayers' money. Thank you.
That was the opening statement from incumbent Mayor Cathy VanRisseghem, and now the same opportunity for another name on the ballot, Robin Hensel. Robin, your opening statements telling us about yourself, how people might know you, what's your involvement in the community volunteer work, your family perhaps, and also why you have chosen to run for Mayor. Robin Hensel.
Thanks, Corey, and thanks to the listeners and my opponents for joining me today. People throughout my entire life who have known me well understand that I own my positions, am honest, hardworking, and generous with my time, talent, and money. Wherever I have lived, people have said that about me. I served 4 years as a licensed full-time foster care home, knee-deep in kids round the clock. The job of mayor is serious business, not a popularity contest. The job of the mayor does not involve a marathon of volunteerism. It's to fairly represent and listen to all residents, something I'm committed to. For the last 3 years, I've attended almost all of the City Council work sessions and regular meetings, as well as a number of official City Committee meetings, including Youth Task Force, Planning and Zoning, Park, Historic Preservation, Economic Development, Library, Housing, Little Falls Area Recreational Complex, Sister City, and more. I've dedicated countless hours and my own money to uncover the inner workings of city government. The plague of poverty is one of the most distressing problems for this city. The other is the closed ethos that disenfranchises many, prohibits free speech, drives selective law enforcement, and stifles economic growth and cultural advancement. According to the Brookings Institute, diverse, inclusive communities that welcome unconventional people, gays, immigrants, artists, and free-thinking bohemians are ideal for nurturing the creativity and innovation that characterize the knowledge economy. A growing number of studies suggest that geographic proximity and cultural diversity, a place's openness to different cultures, religions, sexual orientations, play a key role in economic growth. To put it in plain English, diversity spurs economic development. It's time for diversity skeptics and naysayers to get over their hang-ups. The evidence is mounting that geographical openness and cultural diversity and tolerance are not byproducts, but are the key drivers of economic progress. If elected mayor, I will insist on excellence, inclusivity, and complete transparency. I will insist on accurate and uncensored, with no omissions of public right-to-know information, news coverage from the official city newspaper, sorely lacking at present. Secrecy is an admittance of fear.
Thank you very much. Those are the opening statements from Robin Hensel, and as we rotate the order of who will answer these questions first, we'll begin first with Robin Hensel. And there's a lot of questions we have, so we'll try and limit this response for each candidate to about 90 seconds. The listener would like to know your stance on, should the city have a full-time administrator? What would be the pros and cons of it? What is each of your stance on perhaps a full-time administrator in the city of Little Falls? First, Robin Hensel. Robin?
It's critical we have a full-time savvy city administrator. Your current part-time administrator is costing us around $5,000 every month and doesn't even attend all council meetings, and is only in the office Monday through Thursday from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. He didn't even suggest the council pass a much-needed conflict of interest policy, as he did for the city of Brainerd in 2011. Your council is currently considering hiring an enforcement officer to help with rental and sign violations, which will cost tens of thousands of additional taxpayer dollars. At present, there are inexcusable continuing sign violations all over town, even though we're paying Ben Olson a part-time salary around $4,000 a month. This is a problem. Little Falls should follow the example of Minneapolis' newly enacted open data policy, which allows the public to access to complete government transparency. Openness inspires confidence. To date, Little Falls information blackout includes news censorship and information blackouts by the Morrison County Record, a restrictive sign ordinance to impede the flow of information, the ongoing shutdown of public access television, restricting the political debates at the chamber to a duck and dodge rather than have us meet face to face.
Thank you very much. That was the response from Robin Hensel. And now, next up to answer the same question, our Mayor Cathy VanRisseghem. Cathy, what is your stance on should the City of Little Falls have a full-time administrator, the pros and cons of this issue? Cathy?
Well, definitely. I have been aggressively voting against hiring a part-time administrator for the last actually 2 years and giving the reasons that have been given out. I think that in the past what we've seen with administrators that they have gotten involved in the community, they attend meetings, they find out the pulse of a community, and in order to be the driving force behind the city, you have to know the pulse. And I think that, as Robin has said, is because the administrators, they're very little, it's very hard for him to find the issues, to even educate himself, and then at council meetings, educate the council on the issues that are coming up. I believe it's important that the council educates themselves, but there are many issues that involve the law, legal issues that we're not decisions. I think that I can't find any cons about hiring an administrator. I believe that it's very important that we do it, and I think that that's one of the first things that we need to do shortly. I'd like to see us do it even before the end of the year.
Thank you very much. That response from Cathy VanRisseghem. Same question, this time posed to Greg Zilka. Greg, what is your stance on should the city have a full-time administrator? What would be the pros and cons of this issue?
Yes, I believe we should have a full-time city administrator. I've spoken about that in the last couple of years. I don't know why it hasn't been brought forward at all by the council or the leadership of the council. I'm talking with community residents. There's concerns that it's going to increase taxes, but I think we need to budget for it and live by our budget and be not necessarily fiscally conservative, but be fiscally responsible. Pros and cons are, I think, that our current administrator has done a good job. I think he's helped us through some trying times that are typical of what cities go through. But I also believe that the city administrator needs to live in the city, which I know there won't require that, but at least be a part of this community and know the aches and pains that we go through in this community.
All right, thank you very much. That's the response from Greg Zilka. One more question here before the bottom of the hour break, and we'll have about 90 seconds per candidate for this question, and we'll begin this time first with Cathy VanRisseghem. Cathy, this question came in from a listener this morning. The listener says, do you think it's appropriate for a mayor with no legal or law enforcement background to head a city police force? Why or why not? And I thought, as our incumbent mayor, Cathy, you could start off first by explaining what the responsibilities are as mayor to our local police force, and then respond to that question. So first, this question directed at Cathy VanRisseghem. Cathy?
Well, first of all, the responsibilities of a mayor is not to run the police department, and I'd be the first to say that I would have no clue on how to do that. I'm not involved in the investigations. I don't know unless I look at the reports what's going on in the community. I don't receive calls about issues that are going on in the community unless it's an issue that is of extreme measure that will affect the community. And the idea is that I run the police department. I don't. I actually am involved with more of the administrative issues of potentially the building, or we're going to be getting a new car, or we have to hire a new officer. I'm not even involved in the interviews and hiring any of the officers. So basically, it's just that the police chief comes to me. We discuss administrative issues as he does with the administrator. And that would be it.
Okay, thank you very much. That was Cathy VanRisseghem. We'll pose the same questions to our other two candidates here this morning. First off, Greg Zilka with the legal background. Is it appropriate for the mayor to be the quote head of the police force? Greg Zilka.
I don't believe that it's identified that way in the charter, and I don't believe that it should be. Personally, if I was elected, I do not believe in micromanaging, and I think at times that happens in our community. I believe that we should be in charge of the city administrator. That's why I think it's important to have a city administrator full-time. We elect, or we hire a full-time city administrator. It's their job to run the city, not ours. We are keep an eye on policies and procedures and make sure that we follow those. We shouldn't be going to the city engineer, the police chief, or anybody else as council or mayor and directing them on what to do. That should always be directed through the city administrator.
That was the response from Greg Zilka. Greg, thank you very much. And same question this time posed at Robin Hensel. Robin, what is your stance on the relationship between the mayor and the police force as regards to this question? Robin Hensel.
The job of the mayor is to study the laws, lead city government, and represent the people. I will continue to diligently study the operations of the city, whether elected or not, and shall report any neglect, dereliction of duty, or waste, and this comes directly from the charter, as the mayoral duties, by the way, that may come to my attention if elected, on the part of any officer or department of the city. I will appoint a wide range of individuals to include all income levels and diversity representation on all city boards, commissions, and committees. I just would like to add something about the issue of the mayor being head of the police department. In the event of martial law or a severe catastrophe of some sort, yes, indeed, the mayor would lead this city, does have the authority and the power over the police department. That's a fact. If that actually opens up a possibility of abuse of that position. I can assure the voters I would never abuse that power, and I believe there is a problem with selective law enforcement in this area that plagues this area. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Robin. And we have time for one more very brief question, about a 1-minute response for each of our candidates on this next question. And we'll begin first by directing it to Greg Zilka. We have a lot of hearts and potatoes to get to on the second half hour, I assure you of that. With this question, a listener wants to know, would you favor reducing the number of seats currently on the Little Falls City Council? For example, the two possibilities that this listener mentioned in the email was limit each ward seat to perhaps just 1 seat per ward, or eliminate the alderman at large. That was another idea that the listener had. But what would be each of our candidates' ideas on this? We'll begin first with Greg Zilka. Greg?
We've discussed this frequently at council meetings, and yes, I believe that we may be overstaffed with the amount of council people that we have. But the direction that we got, I believe, from our city attorney was that we would have to open up the charter, and there's a lot more to it than just saying, okay, let's sit down and have a meeting and say, all right, let's go from 7 to 5 or whatever we're going to do. I think it's very in-depth work that needs to be done, redistricting and other things. Not that we couldn't look at it, but we chose not to do it at that time.
Okay, thank you very much. That's the response from Greg Zilka. Same question posed, this time directed towards Robin Hensel. Robin, what is your viewpoint on the size of the council and the potential of perhaps reducing it?
All councilors should be aldermen at large. Otherwise, taxpayer lawsuits for unfair elections due to the Belle Prairie annexation, and possibly more, which makes Ward 2 way larger than any other district in this area, could be mounted against the city. That would be a foolish mistake. Little Falls should video record all city meetings and publish them for the public to view on the city website. Your taxes will be going up, regardless of what any other candidate says. For these reasons and more, new necessary wells located at the airport that will have to be piped all the way into town, Minnesota Pollution Control Agency mandated wastewater treatment upgrades in the near future to prevent toxins like phosphorus from poisoning the Mississippi River and destroying Lake Pepin. School buildings overhaul. We need safe schools, but this will undoubtedly raise our taxes. The proposed sales tax referendum on the ballot of almost $8 million recreational complex at a time when residents are continuing to lose their homes to bank foreclosure, costly potential lawsuits stemming from poor city staff or council performance, due process violations, selective enforcement of laws, illegal data lookups, violation of free speech, or residents unfairly represented during elections. If we reduce our council size, I don't believe we can tackle these kind of issues fairly and thoroughly.
All right, thank you very much. That's the response from Robin Hensel, the third candidate to answer this question regarding the size of the Little Falls City Council and perhaps reducing that size. Your thoughts are Mayor Cathy VanRisseghem. Kathy?
Thank you. Actually, the county has 5 county commissioners, and I believe there are over 39,000 people within the county. Most communities, including St. Cloud, operate on a 5-council board. And Little Falls, I think at one point we had 15. And so through the years, it has been knocked down. The charter has been opened. I believe we need to go down to at least 7 or 5. I think that we keep hearing we don't want to open that mysterious city charter. It's almost like Pandora's box. But that city charter, I believe, should be opened. The city charter basically makes us a charter city, which is an older city. Before the state started developing communities with statutory cities. And so our charter is old. It would not stand up to the law. We've been told that repeatedly, that there are issues within there that, the state statute is going to override it. So I believe we need to open that city charter, and I believe that we need to reduce our council members.
Sorry, excuse me, that was the response from Cathy VanRisseghem, and we're going to take a break right now. We have our bottom of the hour news update coming up, and also more with our 3 candidates running for Little Falls Mayor. This is the Mayor Debate on Upfront, AM 960, KTLF, Little Falls.
Thank you. First of all, Corey, the statement that Robin had made and quoted me actually was a statement that Mr. Crowder had stated. And it brought much frustration to myself and the Mayor's Youth Task Force because of the feelings that he had against activities that we were trying to create for youth in our community. And most people know me, and I've been in this community, and